Good morning. My name's Adam Wilkinson, and I want to talk to you today a little bit about the LM3 tool. We used it all the way through this Strength2Food project and in all areas where any form of economic impact measurement was deemed necessary or useful. And you can see from the screenshot below that very wide use was made of it. The reason we selected LM3 was threefold. The first is really because it's a very simple model to use, and that's really important because it doesn't tie up too much resource in getting the right answer. Secondly, that it's meaningful in small spatial areas and across different spatial areas, and that's very unusual in economic impact assessment. And thirdly, because it produces a ratio, it gives us the ability to compare results across different areas and different spending amounts. So that was the background. And what I want to do today is to take you quickly through how the tool works, an example of one of the projects that used in the project, and to direct you to where you can find some more resources. So the tool LM3 actually stands for local multiplier 3, where local is the area in which we are interested in what the economic impact is, the local area. The multiplier is the ratio which we reach at the end, or the coefficient, which enables us to cross-compare across different areas and different spends. And the 3 refers to 3 generations of spending, which is what we track to enable us to generate the ratio. And here we have an example from North Norfolk District Council of 2 different contracts. The original budget for both, shown in round 1, was 72,000 and 120,000. And if I just follow through on contract 2, of that 120,000, we've found that 20,400 was spent into the local area. And of that 20,400, we found that a further 6,760 was then respent again into that local area. And if we add all of those 3 together, we get a total of £147,160, which was generated as economic impact by contract 2. We can then just do a very simple calculation, which is shown on the right-hand side of the screen, which is to generate a ratio from that figure. And that ratio shows that for every £1 that was spent in contract 2, we generated an extra 23 pence for the local economy. What's interesting about this, and the reason I've shown you 2 projects, is that the contract 1 has a smaller value, much smaller value, just over 50% of the value of contract 2. But if we look at the total, it actually generates £154,580, which is a greater amount, just greater than the value for contract 2. So what we can see here is that what the LM3 tool is doing is it's measuring how much money stays in the local economy. So in a sense, how sticky any amendment of spending is. And that's an important issue when you're looking at total economic impact as a whole. And we find that by tracking the spending, we can generate this data at the other end. So if I turn now to a real example, which was taken from the Strength2Food project, this is the Fowl Oyster Sustainability Index from Work Package 5. And we can see here that the Fowl Oyster HQ is located in the Dart estuary, shown by the red dot. And around that, we've generated a local area, in this case, of, I believe, 20 kilometres. And this is an important part of the local, this is the local part of the tool. And it is important to stress that this is not an arbitrary distance, nor is it a universal distance. It's really about the feel for what is the economic activity, or what is the economic area we're interested in. In this case, local was about local supply chains. So by discussion, that the 20 kilometres was felt to represent most fairly the range of local suppliers. And that's the reason it's used within this example. If we look at the results of this example, the simple results, we can see firstly that, just like in the example I showed you from District Council, that the total project income, or the spend, the budget, was 27,000 in the year that we looked at for this. Then of that 27,000, 20,300 was respent into the red area. And of that 20,300, 15,652 was then respent again, was retained within the local area on the third generation. And that gives us a total figure of 62, almost £63,000 project of valued economic impact on the local area, and an LM3 ratio of £2.33. And you can see the impact of that, where the contribution of that came from the pie chart below. We can go into a little bit more depth, however, and we can say that actually if we look at not just the position for the whole project, which is shown here, the £2.33, we can look at what the difference is. The tool can look at the differences between local and non-local suppliers' contribution to that. And what we see here is that if you're a local supplier, so a supplier that's situated within that radius, you actually, or a local employee, what that shows is that money spent with you generates £2.66 for every pound that is spent. Whereas if you're a non-local supplier, a non-local employee, then that figure is only £1.09. So you can see that in this case, the local suppliers make up much the biggest part of the contribution. And for every pound that's spent with them, you generate £1.66 in the local economy, whereas for every non-local supplier, you generate only 9 pence extra. So that's just a small insight to the bigger breakdown that we can achieve with this tool as well. But I'm afraid that's all I've got time for today. What I would say is if you would like to talk more to me directly, you can either email me on the email address shown here, or you can go to the LM3online.com website. Or if you wish, you can go to the Strength2Food URL I've shown here, and you can download a full working copy of the tool that we use within the SDF, and you can try it for yourself. So thank you very much for your time.